All right, today we're joined by Mr. Mike Figueroa. Mike, how are you? Good
I'm
af
doing good. How are you?
Yeah, I would say good afternoon. It's evening here, it's afternoon where you are, so
Yeah.
I get these time zone things where sometimes I'm talking to people in the UK and they're totally my
Yeah.
hours. It's all over the place. Yeah. Yeah. So cool. So let's start by you telling us a little bit about yourself. I'm gonna hear about your back. Uh, we were introduced by a mutual friend, John Ortega,
Huh?
PGA, and
Yeah.
he told me you had a pretty interesting story. The reason what I do on my blog is I try to create situations and scenarios where people can benefit from other people's experiences. I think yours is a little unique, so we want to hear it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I grew up in Huntington Beach and started off, the normal stuff. I played baseball when I was a kid and played some soccer and did some bicycle racing, rode motorcycles, and then played freshman football and got into racquetball and really fell in love with racquetball. So I quit everything else and just started playing racquetball and training. And I was very fortunate. I grew up around some of the best players in racquetball. So I was around Lynn Adams, who was ranked number one she was the number one women's player in the world. And one of my good friends, Bill Sell, was top racquetball player, and Brian Hawk. So I was around all these really, really good athletes growing up, and I got to train a lot and travel the world. I played in some of the world. I played, I think, in 3 world championships. Yeah, so when I was a junior, I won the 18 and under state championship. I won the regional doubles. So I kind of did a lot. I kind of turned pro, but racquetball was different. There was like an open division, but you were considered kind of professional besides the professional tour. So I traveled around and played in a lot of open tournaments and, won some money, and sometimes people would sponsor me. So I'd get my stuff paid, and I had sponsors. So I was getting rackets and gloves and balls and clothing and stuff. And so I got to a pretty high level, and there was no money in it. So I kind of lost a little bit of interest because I knew at some point I couldn't, make a living doing it. So I kind of got into doing car stereos and doing phones. And I was doing that as a way to make money to play in the tournaments that I did when I was younger. So after a couple of years of that, I was pretty successful in that too. I went and played golf one day with a couple of friends that were pretty good golfers, and it was like the funnest thing I've ever done. And I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. And so it was a little 9-hole course that was in Huntington Beach, right by the water. And it was real close to where John Ortega and Byron had their shop. So later that day, I go, where else can we play? I want to keep playing. So we ended up playing David L. Baker, which is in Fountain Valley. And from that point on, I was just bit by the bug. And I I figured out I needed to hit balls every day. So I think at the time, I think I was 26 when I started. So I figured I need to get a job part time at a driving range so I could hit balls every day. So I ended up, after a couple of months, I got a job, and I would work. I had a regular job, and then I would get off that, and then I would go and pick range balls in the driving range, making like $5 an hour. But, I only worked like 2 days a week doing that at night. So the other 5 days I would stay there till midnight and just hit balls for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours. And then the weekends all day long. And then I figured, you know what? If I can get good enough, maybe I can turn professional, and then I'll be able to play golf for free. So that's what I ended up doing is I said, you know what? I'm gonna sell everything I have, move back home with my parents, and just go in, all in on becoming a professional. So I turned professional about 3 years after starting picking up golf. I turned pro,
Let
and
me interrupt you.
yeah.
I'm sorry. So you go, you fall in love with the game.
Huh? Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, at first I had a couple of friends that were scratch players, and
Okay.
I would watch them hit the ball. And at first, all I wanted to do was, I remember I just wanted to be able to hit a 7-iron. and just hit it solid. And I just got so focused on just hitting a 7-iron, and I wanted to be able to hit it like they did. And the feeling, because every once in a while I'd hit it in the center and it'd be like, oh my gosh, this is the most incredible ever. And so I just got so focused on doing that in the beginning that, I would probably hit like, I would say there was a point where I was probably hitting like 500 balls a day, maybe 600 balls a day, and just spending the whole entire day. Like on a Saturday, if I didn't work at the driving range, I would get there at, maybe 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and I would stay there till like 10, 11 o'clock at night and, chip and putt. And that's what I did. And I kind of did that for a while where I basically just withdrew from everything and just immersed in practice. And that was it. And after, I would say, maybe after 2 years, I was able to shoot like even par. And then I started to break into, shooting under par. But, they had what's called a player's ability test that, for the PGA. And I could play in like money games and I could play in tournaments and play well and sometimes shoot one or two under. But when it came to that 36 hole playing ability test, I had troubles. And I remember one of them I went with James when he was probably like 13. And
James.
James O, yeah. So James and Nick Bedell, who's James
Yeah,
and
James.
and and
James.
and Nick Bedell, yeah.
Well, what James is taking a PAT at age 13? What's the difference?
Well, no, he just went with me. He just went and he played because we played a course like out in Bakersfield, and James came, and then another guy, Nick Bedell, who's another PGA pro. Yeah,
Yeah, so I had the same similar thing you did. I got the bug. I started hitting balls. I dropped everything. I got into the golf business, but I went into the management and running a driving range company, limited balls. So, when you're in the golf business, you think you're going to get into a golf business, you're going to play more golf, and it's actually completely
right.
the opposite. You play less
Yeah,
golf, but on Mondays, you got Monday off, right?
yeah.
A group of guys, we called ourselves the PAT Tour.
Oh yeah,
So you have a
oh
list.
yeah. So you know all about it then.
Well, we didn't. I was a good player. We didn't want to pass it. I had no interest in turning pro. The
Okay.
reality is that you got 36 holes
Yeah,
and a nice golf course, and lunch was included. So we used
yeah.
to sign up for every Monday for a new PAT. I
Uh
was
huh.
in this one round, right?
Uh huh.
Decided I had to tank it. I would,
Sneeze.
else I couldn't come back.
Yeah, yeah. I think the score was like you had to shoot like 151 to pass.
50 over
And
30.
yeah, and it's not super hard. It's just 36 holes is a long day,
Well, you know what it is? The course is set up really simple. So it's 6,000
Yeah,
at a 113 slope,
yeah,
and you shoot 150, which under normal conditions should
yeah,
be. But
yeah. You should.
when you have the number in your head,
Yeah,
you know exactly what you need to shoot, and you're keeping track of it. It gets really complicated.
yeah. Especially like when you have like 3 or 4 holes left, and you just have to make 3 or 4 pars.
Yeah,
It makes it a lot harder to make 3 or 4 pars. Especially when you're trying to pass it, and that's I struggled. I remember I heard someone was at Pelican Hill, which is over in Newport Beach. It's kind of like Newport Beach, Pebble Beach, kind of.
yeah,
And
I
there
know.
was a guy, I think Dr. Gary Wyron was one of the pros out there that did seminars for the PGA,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he was actually doing a seminar for guys trying to pass the PAT.
Wow.
And so I called him because you had to call in order to get in. So I called him, and he kind of just interviewed me, and he said, "So tell me about what's going on." I said, "Well, I'm playing in Golden State tournaments. I'm playing in King Stallman tournaments. I'm shooting under par. Like a week or two before, I had just shot 64 at John Ortega's course. So I'm playing pretty good. I was working with Greg McCatton. I was working with Bobby Laskin, Brett Massingham, and so I had the game. I just mentally was just I couldn't like finish it.
When you
And so after I talked to him for like 10 minutes on the phone, he goes, "Yeah, you don't need to come to my seminar." And I was like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, you're fine. You'll pass the next one." And I was like, "That's okay. All right. Then, well, thanks for your time." I thought I kind of thought it was a little weird, and I think I had one a couple weeks later at Dad Miller in Anaheim, where Tiger grew up playing his high school golf. I had no I passed it no problem. I think I shot a couple. I was like right around even or one or two over or something for both rounds total. Yeah, it was strange. So I got that taken care of, and then I did my first business school, and then I met my wife. We ended up getting married, had kids. Then the professional golf, the playing kind of took a back seat, no more practicing. And so at that point, I was still working in golf until about 2009, but I hadn't played. I played one time from 2003 to 2009. I played one time in 2008 and didn't hit balls, didn't do anything. Left the golf business. At that point, I was kind of like, I'm going to do something that I can do at my house, where I'll be around my kids.
Right, right.
So I started getting into, you know, welding because I wanted to like build custom motorcycles and do
Yes.
some artistic stuff. So I did that for a couple of years, built a couple of bikes, sold them, and then realized, I need to get a job. So I became a welder and, did that up until 2022, which I'm still doing that. And then my son comes to me and he says, "Hey, he has all my staff bags that have my names on it, and he just hears about stuff what I did in the past, but he didn't really know anything about golf. But he's like, 'Will you help me?' And I go, 'Yeah, sure.' So I went to the driving range with him after work and told him, 'Here, hold the club like this, and hit some balls.' And I thought, you know what? Maybe I'll just I'll I'll hit a few balls with them and just for the heck of it. But you know what? Maybe what I should do is buy a set of clubs, a new set of clubs, because the clubs I had were from like 2004. They were Nike blades. So I said, maybe I'll just buy a set of clubs just for fun. But I'm not going to get into golf because yeah, I'm not really, whatever. I'm just going to help my son. And so I bought a set of clubs. That was the first set I bought. So I started hitting balls, and then I all of a sudden it seemed like I was doing it like every day, and then it turned into doing it on the weekends, but I hadn't played at all. And so I was just helping him, and we'd just go to the range, hit balls. And then I said, well, let me see if I can play. Let me see what that would be like. So I played. I don't know. I picked up a couple of holes, probably shot somewhere mid 90s or so if I was to count everything. And at the time, when I had played competitive golf, I was probably 30, I would say maybe 32, 33. And so now I'm 50. I was at the time, it was 2022. So I was like about 55. And, obviously things change in 20 years. You're not the same as you were. So I wanted to play the golf course that I had worked at for 8 years because I remembered how far I would hit the ball and I would, know like, okay, this is how far I hit a 7 iron. Let me see if I can still hit a 7 iron or do I got to hit a 6 or a 5 iron or whatever. And when I got on the golf course, it was weird. There was no more stakes on the sides of the fairways where, back when we played, we had to walk off. If it was the 150, we would say, oh, it's a blue flag. And then I'm 5 yards in front of that. I'm 145, but I have to add 8 more yards. So I'm like 152. Right. And
Yes.
so
Yes.
it was, and I go, so how do you find out where you're at? Like, I just see grass. I have no idea. They go, oh, there's these things called rangefinders. I go, well, what's that? Oh, you use a rangefinder. It tells you how far you got. I go, that's cheating. Like, you're going to tell me exactly how far I have? Like that makes golf way easier. Right. And I don't have to play a steel shafted driver anymore. And I can get one that you can adjust the loft and make it upright or flat or like, man, this is crazy.
This is
So I went out. After about a month, I was able to break 80. And I was like, wait a minute, I think I might be able to play. If I can break 80, then that means I can probably shoot, 70 again. So I just kept going every day, just like what I did. I just remembered it's just repetition, right? So I would just keep hitting balls. I got to feel like the golf club's part of my body again, like it was an extension of me. Yeah. So I kept doing that. I just kept hitting balls, putting, chipping, and hitting drivers. And I ended up was able to shoot even par. after about 3 months, which was kind of cool. I was thinking like, wow, I mean, that's pretty good, I thought. So a couple more months goes by. I'm able to break par for the first time. So I hadn't shot under par in maybe 20 years. And so I shot 4 under. My first time I shot 4 under, which was kind of cool. I thought like, wow, that's incredible. But if I can shoot 4 under, then that means I can shoot 6 or 7 under again as well. Right. So I just figured I just got to keep doing it. So maybe a year later, maybe a total of about a year back, I shot 7 under, 65, no bogeys. First time that I remember ever playing a round that I never had a bogey.
Wow.
So that was in 2023. And so then I started thinking, like, you know what? I think I can play again. And so I just started signing up for tournaments and playing in the men's club and playing in we have a local SAC Golf Council tournaments. And then I started after the first year, I said, well, maybe I could play in like a USGA event, try and qualify. So I tried the US Senior Open uh, qualifying and the US Senior Amateur qualifying. Didn't do too well. The courses that they play, I'm not used to those types of golf courses because I mostly play municipal golf courses, and they're usually on championship country clubs. So that was a little bit of a challenge, seeing how courses are set up. But I got some pretty good experience, doing that. And then last summer, I probably had my biggest accomplishment. I played in a men's club and went out and fired a course record 61. So I made 11 birdies, no bogeys. So that was last summer. And then I kind of figured, like, you know what? I still think I could do better, And so I just got my 40th set of irons maybe 2 weeks ago. I've had 40
What?
sets of irons.
You
Yeah.
have
I'm
sets right now.
well, I don't have them anymore because I buy them and then I get rid
Oh,
of them, trade them, sell them. I just keep turning them over.
I
So
got you.
I finally have the set that I feel comfortable with. Uh, Driver, 3 wood, 7 wood, my irons, my putter, my wedges. Everything's is as good as I've ever felt it, over the last 3.5 years. So yeah, so now I played in a tournament today. I'm tied for six right now and didn't play super great, but hit the ball pretty well. Just didn't struggling a little bit putting. I had a hole in one 2 weeks ago, or actually a week and a half ago down in Southern Cal when I went and saw John because I got to see John and got to
You guys
do
wanna work?
yeah, I
Got
got to work out in his lab, so it was kind of neat being on the screen with Jake Knapp, beside me and seeing my swing towards his, you know. So yeah, it's cool. And then I also worked with John and Byron back in the mid '90s. I built putters, and John and Byron taught me how to build golf clubs, and so I helped them build the putters. So I was there, and so I learned the whole club aspect building from both of them. So I've known John for a long time. Great guy, great teacher, great player. He's incredible. And yeah, I mean, I worked with him. I didn't plan on kind of taking a lesson, but I'm always up for someone that has, talent to give me some pointers. So he helped me out, and the next day I had a hole in one. So it's kind of, and I've never had one, so it's pretty cool. Yeah, because we were working on the track, man, and he was, I was swinging. He was watching my swing. He's like, okay. So he was giving me a couple of things to work on, and then we saw ball flight and how that affected the ball flight. So then he goes, okay, let's get you ready for tomorrow. So we started off at different yardages where you can put a green at 80 yards and 100 yards and 120 and 140. And so I was flushing it. I was, flushing it, and I was hitting the ball solid. And he's like, "Yeah, dude, you look great. You look ready." And I hit 15 greens. I didn't putt great, but the greens were way faster than what I'm used to. So but yeah, it was really really fun. I didn't get to see James because he was at Ryder Cup. So, but I got to see a lot of the other.
there with John in that area?
Yeah, James is out at John's studio. He's probably maybe like 30 to 40 minutes away at Hacienda, but he'll come to John's studio sometimes when he wants to get, some work on the TrackMan. And then they'll also go to Costa Mesa because sometimes he'll take his players to the course at Hacienda, or sometimes they'll go to Costa Mesa and they do all their content. Yeah, I've never seen anybody ever putt like John putts. He can putt with, you can give him 5 putters and he can play with every putter. It doesn't matter. It could be a 8802 style putter. Then you give him an answer style putter. And then you give him a long putter. You give him a mallet, and his stroke is he can make it everything. He's just an amazing putter.
So,
Yeah.
okay, so you're coming back, right? So, and you fire a course record, right?
Huh?
You say this like matter of factly, right? And how do you keep that? So you going back to your PATs, the early days of PATs, and we talked about the fact that you have basically it's laid out for you.
Yeah.
It's laid out it's a piece of cake manner. So there's like they make it flat, they make it 6,000 yards. They tell you have to shoot 150 over 36 holes, right? So you know the number going in. And you said you were struggling with that aspect of
Yeah.
getting past the PAT. Meanwhile, you're playing Golden State Tour events and you're shooting on the par, right? There's a psychological aspect of having to shoot a particular number. Okay. So there's also uh, a psychological effect when you're on a roll, when you're hot,
Hmm.
right? Start to think like when you know what I mean. Like for the most part, if I got a good score going, I I just change. Now all of a sudden, I'm steering it. I'm not swinging at flags. I'm playing safe, and when you don't release the golf club, everything bad happens. You know what I mean? So how was that to be in that situation? I mean, coming down the stretch, did you know you were going to break the record?
I was playing with some of my friends in the men's club, and one of the guys was, I think it was the 15th hole. He starts texting people and saying, "Hey, Figs 10 under par through 15." I just kind of like kind of kept in my zone, and I didn't really worry about it. I didn't really know exactly where I was, but I knew I was kind of pretty deep because after 9 holes, I shot 30 on the front. And usually, you play your front, you just go to the back and you just keep going. Well, I made a phone call to my son because at the time you know, I kind of wanted to through help him understand that golf is a hard game. It's not very easy. And I wanted him to show him that he was more important than my score at the time, because I should have just went to the 10th hole and, I'll talk to him later, but I didn't want to do that because I wanted to make a point like, okay, he doesn't listen to me. He thinks I don't know, but that's fine. So I call him and I said, "Hey, just want to let you know that everything I do is out of love. I want the best for you, right? I probably shouldn't be calling you right now. I'm playing in the tournament. And by the way, I just shot 30 on the front. I'll talk to you later." And he goes, "What?" And then I hung up. And so, I didn't really care if I would have shot 4 over on the back. I wouldn't really care because my son's more important to me than my golf score. Okay. But I didn't think anything of it. I just kept going and just keep hitting shots. And I hit some really close. And then I hit some that were, 10 and 15 feet, and stuff just started to go in. But I never ever, I just didn't think about the outcome or the result. I just kept going one after another, like just keep hitting shot after shot. So there came a point on 17. 17's kind of a long hole. It was like 400. And from those tees we were playing, it was probably 420, 25 or right around there. And I hit a driver and I had, um, I'm not sure what club I hit in. I'm not sure if it was a 7 wood or a 6 iron or whatever, but I kind of hooked it left of the green and I had to go over a bunker. I remember exactly because I shot the yardage. I had 34 yards to the pin. So I only missed 2 greens that day, and that was one of them. So at that point, I didn't know where I was, but at that point, I was 11 under par. So no bogeys. And I birdied all the par threes and I birdied all the par fives and then some par fours. And so that hole, I had 34 yards. Well, I chipped it up to about 6 feet, and then I, did my thing and I made it. And so I made par and we got up to 18, and 18, it's out of bounds or a hazard right, trees left, kind of a dog leg left. So I hit perfect driver. I was hitting it really good. And I hit it in there. I don't remember what club I hit in, to be honest with you. I'm not sure what my yardage was. I hit it in there maybe 6 feet, like right behind the pin. So it looked like I was going to, make another one. And so when I got up there, I was like, okay, this putt is right edge putt. And I kind of knew I was a lot under. I didn't know where I was, but I knew I was I knew I was pretty deep. But I tried to make the putt and I lifted out. And if I would have made the putt, I would have probably did like the Tiger fist pump because that would have been for 60. I missed the putt. I was kind of pissed, actually, to be honest with you. I was kind of like,
Yeah,
I kind of said a couple words and had a foot putt. So I
tap
make the par and wait for everybody else to finish, shake their hands. No big deal. Turn my scorecard in. Then all of a sudden, my phone starts blowing up. People start texting me from, my kid starts texting me and some of the people from the club, people start talking about in the club, they start texting other people. And then all of a sudden, like it didn't go viral because, I don't have that many friends, but, I had probably like 4 or 5 text messages like, oh my God, dude, what did you just do?
viral. That's
So,
viral.
yeah, so the course was built in, I think, 1959 and 63, was the course record. It was from the back tees. We played one up from those back tees, so we played the blue tees. So, but it's the lowest score ever shot there in since it's been open.
In competition.
Well, yeah, I mean, actually, one of the scores, 63, was one was a tournament, and then one was just some, a friend of mine that I knew that was the course record for years. And then someone did it in a junior tournament, a big junior tournament they had there, and someone had shot it. And then um, I shot the 61, which was the lowest it's ever been, in the 59 years. So it was kind of cool. And that was the golf course that I worked at for 8 years. And I lived, a mile away from it. So it was pretty cool to tell my kid, when he found out that I shot that score, he was like, holy moly, that's incredible. And one of the funny things is a good friend of mine who's a pro he works for the county of Los Angeles. He was a pro for a long time and he pretty much still is a golf professional. He runs all the golf courses down in LA. We were talking on the phone that week. That was a Saturday, but we were talking on the phone like on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. And he was saying, "Hey, I'm really excited about your game. You look like you're playing good." He goes, "You hit the ball pretty straight. You hit a lot of greens." He goes, "I don't see like a 62 or a 63 in you, but you're shooting 66, 68, 69. You're playing good." And I was like, "All right," and then we got off the phone. I was kind of like, "That's kind of weird." Not that it's an insult, but when someone says, "I don't see a 62 or 63 in you," I'm like, "Well, you know what? I don't think I'm playing my best golf yet, right?" So yeah, well, what's funny is so after everything, I took a picture of the scorecard and I sent it. I texted my kid, and my kid sees the score that I was writing, but he didn't see my score. My score was on top because that was where I was keeping my score, and there's just a bunch of circles. So he thought he didn't play well because I think he thought I was 600, but I think the score was 68 that I had kept for the guy that I was keeping score for.
Oh, this is
No,
these are pretty good players.
yeah, there was. I think we had 70 was the highest in our group. It was me 61, and I think someone was 68, and then 70. So my kid didn't realize that it was 61. But anyways, on the top it showed 61. So I sent them the picture, and that was when they started
And even
blowing my phone up. So I sent that to my friend, and they had wrote a little article in the email saying, "Hey, thanks for everybody coming out and playing, and then a special congratulations to Mike Figueroa. He ended up shooting the course record 61." And so I took a little screenshot of the email, and then I texted him, and I didn't hear from him for a couple of days. And I was like, yeah. So I wait a couple of days and I finally go like, did he not get it? So I call him and he doesn't respond. He doesn't answer the phone. And
wow.
I go, and I sent him another text. "Hey, are you all right?" And he goes, "Can you just give me a couple of days to just let this sink in? I still can't get over it. So just give me a couple of days." And then he finally ended up calling me and he's like, "Are you kidding me?" And so we had a big laugh, and I just saw him last week when I was down in Southern California, and coincidentally, I was playing with him when I got my first hole in one on Thursday.
Okay.
It was pretty cool, and my son was there with me, so it was pretty neat. But,
Yeah.
yeah, it was, I don't know. I look back on it. I still feel like my best golf's ahead of me. I don't feel like, yeah. I mean, I can go out and, a couple of weeks ago, I shot 65, I shot 66, and I'm still missing putts. I'm still missing greens. I'm still hitting some drives that aren't good. And that's kind of what gets me up, in the middle of the night and in the morning. And
I
like,
haven't met a golfer that doesn't feel like they left some out there.
well,
No matter
yeah.
how well you play, you know,
Well,
you remember those little stupid things that you should have done right, and it didn't work, you know what I mean? Like, you missed a putt, you did this, despite the score being low, you still
yeah.
could have gone had you not
Well,
done whatever.
that day that I shot 61, I lipped out on 8. I lipped out on 8 from about 10 feet for birdie. I lipped out on 15, which was probably about 15 feet for birdie, and I actually hit the hole and I lipped it. And then on 18, I lipped it. If I would have made those 3 putts, I might have, I could have shot, 58, 59.
Yeah,
Because I mean, it wasn't like I mean, I actually hit the hole. I didn't miss the putt short or long. I actually lipped them. So that day was just a day that everything was, working. But now I look at it as I still feel I can hit more greens. I can hit more balls. I can hit more greens. I just got to make some more putts. If I make some more putts, I'm shooting under par every time I play, and that's part of the problem. I'm just not making as much putts as I should be. You
well,
know.
that was, and I'm looking for that my phone erased a whole bunch of stuff, but I live on a golf course in Dominican, so I leave down there, and I'm playing it's 35-37, the par,
Okay.
so I'm playing on the par 35 side,
Uh huh.
and I shoot a 29, 600.
Sheesh.
The guy goes, "Hey, the course record is -8, you're at 6." That's all he had to say.
Yeah.
So I blew up for a 43 on the other side.
My gosh. Yeah.
The easier side is the back 9 because it has 3 par 5s.
Okay.
But, I wasn't even aware of where I was, and that's why I just played well. The
Yeah.
minute I started reminding me and I started thinking about it, I started blowing up. It was ridiculous. But that's why I asked you about your
Yeah. I really think that, and it's really hard. I think that golf is really mental in the sense that when you start realizing where you're at, sometimes it's just bad. You just, I try to, I'm trying to not worry about score, just write the score and don't even think about it and just go for the next shot because we just had our club championship and I was played well the first day. And so I was in the lead by 1, but which is not that big of a deal because the guys I'm playing with hit it like 50 by me. So the second day we play and I make 2 pars the first 2 holes, and then I start to get the shanks. So I
whoa.
hit it. I hit it. I ended up making I think a triple bogey on the 3rd hole. So, anyways, I'm 5 over through 6 holes, and my kid goes, "Hey, you better get going. Like, let's go." And I go, "Dude, you do not think I'm trying? Like, I'm not giving up. I'm trying my best, right?" So the next hole is a par 3. It was probably 190. I get up there and I hit a hybrid. I hit it to like 2 feet, and maybe it was a little less than 2 feet. It was like 1 foot, 10 inches, whatever, because I want to closest to the pin on that. And I made that. And so then I just started like one shot at a time. And I ended up making a couple of birdies. I made an eagle and I ended up getting back to being even par after being 5 over through 6. I was even par through 14. And
Wow. A
I
lot of
just,
work.
I didn't care where I was because I was playing with the one who eventually won, right? But I didn't try to like say, okay, I'm even par. If I can make a birdie here and I can make a birdie here, I might be able to do this. And I just kept going one hole at a time, one hole at a time. I ended up bogeying. I think I bogeyed 16 and 17 coming in, and then I think I ended up shooting 75 the second round and ended up getting second place. So the guy that won, he played well. He shot 69, chipped in, made some, he made some birdies coming in. And I didn't, but I didn't know where I was, but I knew I was kind of close. And so I just figured, like, if I know that I'm one back or I'm one up, who cares? Like, I still have to execute the shot. So why am I going to worry that? Because if I knew that I was one stroke ahead with, the 18th hole with the hazard right, chances are I'm going to hold on to it and steer it right into the hazard. Right. So why not just not worry about anything and just hit the shot? And I did. And I ended up making par. I believe I made par on 18. I did. And I didn't know where I was at until I realized, oh yeah, I think he beat me by 4 or 5. Um, and so I was just like, hey, it wouldn't have mattered anyway. So, no big deal because he ended up playing pretty good. But I just think we need to not worry about, because a 3-foot putt, right? Whether it's for $1 million or it's for $1 or a piece of candy, it's still a 3-foot putt. So we got to be able to make that, and I try to do I think Tiger's the one that said that, he gets over a putt and he's like, I've made this putt 1,000 times or 100,000 times or 50,000 times. And so I try to tell myself, I get over that putt that's 2 feet. And I'm like, I've made this putt forever. I mean, I do this every day. This is who I am. And, I make some of them and some of my I don't. But you know what? I just figure tomorrow is going to be a better day. And, like, who's to say tomorrow I'm not going to make another hole in one or 2 hole in ones, or I'm going to, hit them in from the fairway, so, you're going to make a bogey here and there. It's nice when you don't have any bogeys, because I don't mind bogeys. Double bogeys are just terrible. You can't be competitive making a double bogey, you know?
That's usually, you're making easy doubles are out of bounds.
Yeah.
You're gonna par the second ball or whatever. So
Yeah.
that's
Bogeys, I don't mind bogeys.
well, bogeys are part of the game. I think
They're part of the game, but I don't like them. Man, I hate getting under par and then making a bogey, but, we tend to make sometimes more bogeys than birdies. But, I've had a lot of stretches. I think there was a time that day that I shot, 61. There was a 2-week period. I think I made like 40 birdies because I played like 3 or 4 rounds in that week. I shot like 65 and 66 and then 61. And then I'd play 9 holes and shoot 31 and I'd shoot 30. And I remember one day I shot 31 on not for 9 holes. And then my buddy goes, I just text him my scorecard. I go, hey, I just made I think I made 6 birdies and a bogey or 5 birdies or whatever. And he goes, you're gonna go play the back? And I'm like, nah, dude, like I can do this. I don't need to I don't need to play. I mean, I'm confident in who I am, Unfortunately, I probably should have played, the rest of it. But I just look at it now as, he gave me the ability to keep grinding, and I'm just grinding every day. I'm play tomorrow again at 8:40. So,
tournament. That's the
yeah, it's the second day of the tournament. So, then I got, in like a week and a half, I got the California State Amateur qualifier. That's down in Stockton, and then the actual tournament's down in Santa Barbara at the Valley Club, which is really nice. So I got to play well for that. So I'll play a practice round next weekend. Yeah, I'm just mostly playing senior stuff. Yeah. Yeah, I pretty much play at everything senior. I play in I'll play in the US Senior Amateur, the California State Amateur this year. I'll try for the US Senior Open qualifying. I tried to play in the tournament for the Champions Tour. I played last year in the qualifier for the pre-qualifier. I tried to play the pre-qualifier. I kind of did the same thing. After 9, we got up on the 10th tee. I was 1 under par. I was right in the mix of, if I can shoot even par or 1 under on the back, I'm in the tournament or in the actual qualifier for the tournament. And so I said to my kid when we got on the 10th tee, I said, hey, I go, this is where it starts, right? This 9 holes can change my life. And, it did. I didn't play too well, and made a couple of mistakes. And I actually hit really good shots. I don't know if you've ever played Bayonet and Black Horse, which is in Monterey. Really tough greens with a lot of undulation.
I've heard a lot of good things about those two courses, though.
Yeah, they're great golf courses, but man, if
They're
you
fun.
don't hit it straight and far and hit it in the right spots of the greens, man, bogeys is always in play. And then there's a lot of hazard everywhere. There's like areas that there's a lot of sand, so it's kind of like a waste area, but it's like thick, super thick sand. So it's like playing out of a really heavy sand bunker. So, but I'm just gonna just keep trying for the next, as long as I can keep competing. I'm
Yeah,
just gonna keep grinding. When we get off this chat, I'm gonna head back to the golf course and work on some putting and some chipping, and get ready for tomorrow. So
it's the sense of purpose. I mean, you age better, you age more gracefully if you're competing. Your body
yeah,
is in shape, and if you're enjoying what you're doing, it's really not, you know what I mean? That's
yeah, no, it's great.
yeah.
And last year, my kids, you know, I love my kids, but they tell me the truth, and that's all I ever want is, I'd rather you be my friend and tell me the truth and hurt my feelings than tell me something that's nice and it not be the truth because that doesn't make me better, right? So I'm grinding it. I'm grinding. This is before I shot 61, but not this past May, but the May before, I was practicing and playing, and I'd have good rounds and some bad rounds. I asked my kid, what do you think I need to do? And he goes, well, you're fat. And I'm like, yeah, but he was right. I was like 30 pounds overweight, maybe more. I'm a 5'11". I was weighing like 234. So one day I wake up and I'm like, you know what? I got to lose some weight. So I didn't go on a diet per se. I just started eating correctly and
Mhm.
drinking a lot of water. So
Right.
I lost 35 pounds in about 3 months and I pretty much kept it off. I still want to go about 20 more. I want to get to like 185. So that's my goal weight. I got about 15 more to go. So that kinda helped, that kinda helped that, like, I just wanna be more fit, so, when the time changes here next month, I'm gonna start doing some, gym stuff, but not really necessarily lifting weights, but just, the bands and some of the speed
Is that
drill stuff. Yeah, so I'm gonna do that because, it gets dark here at 5 o'clock, and it's just when it gets dark, you think it's time to go to bed already, so I'm just gonna try and
especially if you're like an outdoors guy,
yeah.
figure out
So that's what I'm gonna, that's what's, in the next couple of weeks, that's what I'm gonna start doing. Just, weekends will be just practice all day and play all, each weekend day. And then I'm just gonna be at the gym every night until, go to bed and get ready to do it the next day and go to work and keep doing it. So yeah.
so Mike, if you had your road road less or most traveled, I mean, because I took the similar road, what would you recommend to somebody like who's just starting golf and wants to get better,
Hmm.
knowing what you know? Because I mean, you've been through it. You've done it twice, right?
Yeah.
You've made 2 comebacks, right?
Yeah.
And I know golf itself is not like riding a bicycle. You put a bike,
Yes.
you bring it up and pick it up in 50 years, you still know how to ride it.
Yeah.
Picking a golf swing is not that, right? So what would you recommend somebody who wanted to get good quickly?
I say it to everyone that I ever asked me that question. I kind of say the same thing, and a lot of people think I'm crazy. I think you got to hit a million balls, and you're gonna either you have to be really successful that you have a lot of money because you're going to be spending 10, 11 bucks for a large basket. That's 105 balls. I think you need to hit two or three of those a day. I think, if not more. Now, I can't do that anymore because I'm older and, I'm good for like 100 balls in a day. But if you're young and you want to get good, I think it's the more balls you hit, the faster you're going to get better. Right. So you got to hit a lot of golf balls. You got to do it every day. It has to feel like it's part of you. And then you got to play because once you learn how to hit the ball, then you have to learn how to play the game. And the more you play, the more comfortable you feel. It's kind of like talking in front of a crowd. I could never do that when I was in college. I did a little bit of college, and when I found out that I had to do an oral presentation, I dropped out of college. I didn't want to do that. But if you do that a lot, you'll start to feel comfortable in front of people. It's kind of the same thing with golf, right? Because everybody feels like when you go to the tee and you're playing, you're new at playing, you're playing at a golf course on a Saturday morning at 9 o'clock, and there's 10, 15 people around the tee box, and everybody's watching you, and you're worried about topping the ball because everybody's watching you and you don't want to make a fool out of yourself. And everybody else is doing the same thing, thinking, oh my God, I got to get up there and everybody's going to be watching me when they call your name. And once we realize that nobody really cares how you hit the ball, they're worried about themselves hitting the ball. So if we just get out and just hit a lot of balls and we start to feel comfortable about it, then we can start playing and then feel comfortable about it. And then we start maybe playing in tournaments and then we start to feel comfortable in the tournaments. And then you play in the bigger tournaments and you start to feel comfortable. I mean, it's really, you can't buy it. Right. And that's what I think I fell in love with the game. It didn't matter how much money I had, or if I was playing with a CEO of, you know, whatever company that's a multi-millionaire, I could beat him. And he doesn't have anything over me. Yeah, his car might be more than my house costs, but you know what? My scorecard is he would rather buy my scorecard, because he can't shoot 65 or 66 or, 61. So I get that's where I get my pride as far as the accomplishment, but I don't ever think that uh I don't ever get cocky because I know that, you know, golf is tough and you can go out and shoot a great score and the next day you go out and shoot 80 or 85 or 88. I mean, we're human. So I think that anybody that wants to get good at this game, they can. You gotta you I think it's easier now with YouTube because you can find someone that you like their move and if your body's somewhat similar to their move, you can get a lot of tips. You
Copy. Sure.
you don't wanna get, 50 different guys giving you advice because then it's like a milkshake and it's not gonna work. Like, find someone that you kinda like. Maybe they're like James is really good, John's really good. They make it simple. Like, they don't have, "Well, you have to do this, and then this has to be here, and this has to be here, and everybody has to swing like this." They don't teach like that. You definitely need I was lucky. I was around a lot of good players when I started, so I used to ask for pointers all the time, but I still had to put the work in. And so I think if anybody who wants to get good, just know you're gonna pay a price, and that I think is what you have to be willing to pay, or, what price are you willing to pay? Are you willing to give up, maybe not watching a baseball game and maybe not, going out with your buddies or going to a bar or maybe going, to the movies or
But that's kind of important too, right? So you see people that go out and play once a week, right? Don't do anything else to improve. They want to play leisure golf, and that's
Mhm.
fine.
Yeah.
But don't start breaking clubs, slamming.
Yeah.
You didn't do anything to earn that. I can
Yeah.
understand if you're putting in the work, right? And
Yeah.
you're hitting tons of balls and doing what you have to do to get better, and then go out on the golf course. And I just played the Brooklyn Open on Monday. I played reasonably well, right? But I get to the one par five, which is like here's here's this here's this banquet, like a fat turkey type par five that
Uh,
any damn hole on there that you're going to score. It's on this one. The people were rolling something like 15 and
sheesh.
roping all over the damn place. So it's defensive golf until you get to that
Yeah.
hole. Well, they let me start on that hole, and I come out of the gate, and I've been playing pretty well. I'm a low 70s, mid to low 70s shooter. I'm not shooting under par. I'm not. I can shoot 74, 75 from the tips.
Yeah.
And
That's
so
great.
I normally play about 6,600 yards of golf. I keep it in the 70s. I'll try to. Any given day, anything can go wrong. And if you keep an honest score, you're going to blow up.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
Anyway, I get to this hole, pop up my driver, and I till out a 3-wood. I hit that fat. And I take another 3-wood, hit it fat. But I finally get to about an 80-yard pitch shot.
Uh-huh.
Take out a wedge, and I stiff it to within 2 feet. I make
Okay.
right.
Yeah.
And I'm like thinking to myself, just set me off on the wrong course. I did save the par. That's a good thing.
Yeah. That's fantastic.
The way I got there, the way I arrived was like backwards.
Yeah.
Came in the door ass first.
Yeah. But see, that's what's so great about it, though. At the end of the day, you still walked away with a par,
Yeah,
so
I made par, and guys that had one guy hit it in two and made a six.
yeah.
He hit it in two, and he was on the top. And I tell
Yeah.
you, these were rolling out of 15.
Yeah.
He's in a position where he could not stop that ball, and there was no way that's going to stop on the green. The pin is on a lower tier, tucked,
Yeah.
and everything slopes off into a collection area, and it just kept going. He made a 6, he hit it in 2, but
Yeah.
yeah, so I got up see, I was upset, but I was only upset briefly, and it stayed with me for the whole round. Because as
Yeah.
it started coming together and I'm starting to compete and compete and compete, I finished tied 5th.
Huh?
So it is what
That's
it is.
great.
I enjoyed it.
That's yeah, that's great. I mean, I say a couple of four-letter words when I make a you make a bad swing, but I don't really let it affect me. Like, even if I make a double bogey or a trip, I mean, in the club championship, I made a triple bogey. Yeah, I probably said an F word, I would say, after, but then I went to the next tee and just, you know, ended up making another bogey, but I wasn't because I was mad. I just I think if you get mad, you take away I think you take away the opportunity to have success. Because who's to say that you didn't after you made that 5, if you would have hit those shots and then got mad and then, maybe you hit it and you end up making a double bogey and then the next hole is a par 3. Well, you get mad and then you end up topping your ball or you hit it in the water or you hit it right. Like, who's to say that you don't make the next one, you don't hit it, you might make a hole in one, right? So if you just
Yeah, but go ahead, I'm sorry.
yeah, I mean I kind of look at it like blackjack. You just don't know when an ace is coming up, right? So
Right.
you just got to keep turning the card over, right? And so when the dealer's got a 10 showing and you got a 2 showing, you're not going to double down on that bet. You're going to hit because you know you're going to lose. So, if you have to carry water and you didn't hit a great drive and you have to hit your best drive or your best next shot to get on that green, maybe it's best just to punch a ball short of the water and then get on the green. If you make the putt, you make par. If not, you make bogey, but you bring double out of it, right? So why lose money? Why make a bet on a losing hand? Just get out of there because you're going to get some other, as you're a good enough player that you're going to have some birdie opportunities that are going to come. Guaranteed. It's always going to, you're going to hit some shots that maybe you're going to make a 20 footer or 30 footer that, you never tried to make. And you're going to hit a couple in there close. So just get out of there with as least amount of damage. But if you drop your club or throw your club, you're, you're not
Especially
going to,
especially especially if it's in tough playing conditions. I mean,
yeah,
I was playing
if it's
the
really windy or if it's raining.
link style course by the water.
Yeah.
I mean, by the bay there. Greens are rolling at, ridiculous numbers. He probably set them up for 13 or so,
Yeah.
as the wind drives out, they get even faster,
Yeah.
right? Now you got
Yeah.
wind, you got this stuff. And I mean, I after that, I had 2 double bogeys because of lack of focus.
Mhm.
So instead of walking in and tapping in my bogey, I started thinking about it, just like,
Yeah.
stupid, kind of stupid stuff that adds up. And when you look back on it, you say, hey, like I said, you finish the round, say, okay, I finished respectful. But, you always leave some out
Yeah.
there. And
There's probably a couple of
on any given day, your body's not the same. Your mindset
mhm,
isn't always the same. Your attitude isn't always the same. So that's
mhm.
what makes golf, it's what makes it challenging.
Yeah, it's definitely challenging. The one thing that, like you said, the body's a tough one because sometimes you wake up, your back hurts, and I always get up early and like I usually get up at 4 and take a hot bath and try and warm the muscles. And then you have, those massager guns, use that, before you hit start hitting balls. But the one thing I think you can always be in control of is your attitude, you know, because you can't control the wind, you can't control the golf course. The golf course is the same for everybody, but some days it's windy or some days that gust comes up and right as you hit your ball, the gust gets big and then you end up hitting in the water and then the wind dies. And then you're like, are you kidding me? But that the next hole is another hole, right? Another hole to be able to maybe you're going to hit it in two, or maybe you're going to get a hole in one, or you're going to hit a par 5 and 2 and make an eagle. But if you don't turn that card over, the ace will never come, right? So if you just keep turning cards over, they're going to come. So I kind of look at it that way. I mean, I just keep trucking along. So I mean, I tried to do that today. I made 3 bogeys in a row, and I was 1 under par all through my round. I was playing pretty solid, and then I just hit a ball. I wasn't sure about the distance, and there's water left, and I hit a hard 9 iron, which it was probably a punch 8, but I tried to hit a hard 9 and I didn't hit it flush, and it went in the bunker. And then I had an unbelievable hard lie, and there's water behind the green. I just go, okay, just get it on the green. And it was way below my feet. My feet were at the edge of the bunker and the ball was super low. I got it on the green. I had it like a 10, 12 footer. I gave it a run. I just didn't make it, made bogey. No big deal. And then I kind of proceeded to make another 3 more bogeys after that. But I hit good shots, and I just, I didn't, I just kept going and made a couple birdies coming in.
You're hitting
So
the ball well. Eventually, like you said, you're having a bad stretch. You have it's a bad stretch in life. So you can't keep landing tails. You understand?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Law of statistics. If you flip a coin 100 times, it's going to get 50 tails, 50 heads, right? So
yeah,
when you flip 49 times, you get tails. Eventually, it's going to start landing heads, right?
yeah,
So that's
yeah.
the
I mean,
attitude.
I'm 3 back from the lead. So tomorrow I'm just going to go out and hit the ball like I've been hitting it. And hopefully I'll make some putts drop. If I make,
Solid golf shots have a way. Says Michael's do the incoming call. You have an incoming call? Okay.
I just, yeah, I'm on my phone. I had to delete that, but no, I'm good. But if I can get some putts to drop tomorrow, if I can maybe shoot 3 or 4 under, I'll be okay. You know. So
And that's it. Just, keep grinding, right?
yeah,
What's this life?
that's
That's all
that's
you do.
my middle name.
Give it the best do the best you can,
Yeah.
turn in the scorecard, and let the chips fall where they may,
Well,
right?
what? John Ortega used to say this, and I heard it from him, and I say it to people all the time. And what he told me was, all you can do is all you can do, and all you can do is enough. Right. So if you give it your all, then you can look in the mirror and say, hey, I did the best I could. Whether you shoot 65 or you shoot 85, you just
That's what
got
they
to,
had.
yeah, you just got to give it your all and know that every day we wake up, it's a gift from God. So I'm just going to try to be the best guy I can be today, and tomorrow, you know, we're not promised tomorrow. So if I do have tomorrow, I'm going to be the best guy that I can be tomorrow, and try to play the best golf I can be tomorrow. And if I win, I win. And if I don't win, that's fine. I have another tournament coming up, and
Every
just
day's a
trying,
blessing, bro.
yeah, just trying to help people play better golf. I think that we, as a better player, as you're a good player as well. I just have passion for practicing and always being at the golf course. When I'm not working, I'm at the golf course. I I don't really technically give lessons. One day when I quit playing, I'll probably start giving lessons, but I don't give lessons. But anybody who asks me for help, I'll help them without, if someone said, hey, I just started taking up the game, would you help me? I'll help them 100%. I won't charge them. I'll help them every day. Because I'm at the same place every day, 3:30, 4 o'clock. I'm at the driving range. If you want to come out and you want a little bit of help, I'll help you, and I'll give you stuff to work on, and you just keep doing that, and then you'll be coming to me and asking me for more because you've already done that. So I love it when I see people that dive in deep. It's a great game. I mean, I don't know of anything that's better, any better game than golf.
Absolutely. So,
You
Mike,
know?
um, I'm not going to keep you up any longer. I
Yeah,
really appreciate you on, and we'll
yeah, it was fun.
rendezvous again. All right. So
Yeah, for
hopefully
sure.
we. I want to wish you luck tomorrow. I mean, I want to wish you skill tomorrow. How's that?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Right. And
yeah.
hope you
It's
do
always
well.
play well, not good luck. It's play well.
Play well. There you go.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
you have my number now. We can chat and BS every
yeah,
once in
for
a while.
sure.
And I got a friend in New York. If you ever shoot this way again, okay?
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I've never done anything like this, so it was kind of, it was
Yeah,
nice.
as soon as I've, uploaded and edited it, I'll send you a link so you can look at it, see
Yeah,
if there's anything, okay?
it'll probably be like when I look at my swing. I hate looking at my golf swing. I think it's terrible. And people tell me, "Oh my God, dude, you've got a lot of good things going on." I go, "Well, all I care about is I hit the ball straight and I hit my number." You know, uh but yeah, fun. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Great talking with you. All right.